Hey, and we're back with another episode of Before You Buy. That show we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, and today we're talking about The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Now, thanks for your patience on this one. Just know we didn't get it very early, so here are just some first impressions if you were curious or on the fence. Big disclaimer though, we haven't yet seen all, like 80 to up to hundreds of hours in this game, so keep that in mind. Also, just so you know, the footage is as spoiler-free as possible. Like, some people might be sensitive to seeing certain things and just want a complete surprise, but we're doing our best here, and most of the footage here is early stuff. Now, there's a lot of hype around this game, and some of the highest review scores we've seen in a while. Now, after spending a lot of time in this game and binging it for a couple of days, I'll say I definitely like it. I also really like Breath of the Wild. Now, if you didn't like Breath of the Wild, well, just keep in mind that this is a lot more Breath of the Wild with a bunch of new stuff dumped on top of it. So consider that. That stuff is really ambitious and has a lot of room for fun, depending on your preference. The vibe, the Breath of the Wildness, all that is still kind of the same, and some stuff hasn't changed. It's the new stuff that is worth discussing and whether or not you jive with it, and I'll get to that. Now, Tears of the Kingdom has some story set up, and then it just thrusts you right into it. Without spoiling much at all, you are Link, and you're on an adventure, and the Hyrule you know has changed. Floating islands in the sky are filled with ancient secrets, and then down below on Hyrule, debris and weather has somewhat changed the Hyrule landscape you knew before. There is quite a bit of story up front, actually, and it just feels like there's significantly more storytelling going on in this one. It took me by surprise, you know, more dialogue, more cutscenes. I mean, there are still hours of you just wandering through the open wilderness and gliding around, but the game distinctly feels like it definitely just has more to say, more story to tell this time around. Now, again, with these first impressions, I can only share my experience here, so here's how I think it's been going. The tutorial area, I spent a really long time in. This area feels really new and fresh and different, from like the enemies to what you're doing. All of it is different and new. This is where the game teaches you a lot of the new mechanics, like the new abilities and all that building stuff. It can actually be challenging at first, and things feel pretty fresh, you know, visually and story-wise. There's also some fun stuff going on here. Now, once you eventually float back down to Hyrule, things start to go back to feeling a bit more like just typical Breath of the Wild. The region has transformed, yeah, but like some of the music is the same, the grassy fields feel familiar, like you just go, okay, this is definitely Breath of the Wild too. And for a few hours, I actually found it a bit dull. I kind of like half stuck with the main quest line and just learning a bit about what happened to Hyrule and like how the NPCs are doing, and they all have a lot to say. Everybody's really chatty. Some of the earlier shrines that aren't called shrines now are really straightforward, not very interesting looking, and still train you up on the new abilities, you know? For a few hours there, I started to kind of lose interest. I didn't find a lot of the building appealing, and it just felt like more Breath of the Wild, you know, cool, but expected, I guess. But that being said, after spending more and more time in it and like peeling back more and more layers, you start to see and feel just how much stuff is in this game. Like, it gets better the more time you spend in it. It starts familiar and then starts to trickle in some weirdness, you know, new enemies, weirder areas and biomes and music, and more reasons to use and flex your abilities in more creative ways. So basically, the deeper I got, the more I enjoyed it and realized just how ambitious and how different it can feel. First few hours on Hyrule, wasn't sold, but get some of the better dungeons or the temples. Hot damn, some of them. And there's some really good gameplay there. So that's where I'm at now. Does it feel like the game to end all games? Not exactly, but I'm having a lot of fun. And this is a massive game. Like, if you're just looking for a game to get lost in, I think this one will do just fine. Now, the building stuff, I still don't know if I love. This is all personal preference, of course. Like, I'm just not naturally creative in games. I'm not usually into sandbox building, survival type stuff in game loops. I just want the right tools and be told to do the thing. I'm not good at being creative and coming up with stuff on my own. If you feel the same as me, I don't think Tears of the Kingdom is gonna like win you over in the building aspects that much. Control-wise, it's fairly straightforward and even a little bit finicky, and it requires a lot of trial and error horror and experimentation. I think some people are going to absolutely love this. I mean, they already do. Like, look on social media. People are already making cool stuff and having a blast. But I just wanted to do the basics to get the job done, and sometimes I found it annoying. That being said, I'm 50-50 on it, because once you finally build the perfect flying machine for the first time, it is really satisfying. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I first finally took flight, the game put a smile on my face. I was like that really weird ad that Nintendo put out with the sad guy on the bus. That was me. Now, the way it works, you're grabbing and sticking stuff together with the Ultra Hand ability. It's a magic big hand that you use to grab stuff and kind of drag and drop and snap things together. It works well enough, but like I said, control-wise, it doesn't feel like a revolution or like Nintendo cracked a new code or something. What does feel pretty insane is just how many different things you can stick together and make. Like, there's a lot of ambition in this game in terms of object manipulation and physics and messing around. I'm actually really impressed from a technical standpoint. Like, all of these intense systems going on in a staggeringly big open world with a massive explorable skybox, and you're just making stuff and exploding stuff, and the game doesn't fall apart and crash or lose sight of what it is. That's pretty good, man. So Ultra Hand, again, is like the main grabbing thing, and I'm not going to spoil all of the abilities, but just the foundational ones here. Also, there's Fuse, which lets you essentially create things. You know, attach ingredients to arrows, strap a boulder to a sword, fuse a stick and a rock together. Like, it seems pretty simple at first, but you could do some weird and nasty stuff. Again, if you're the player that likes experimenting. And you're gonna need to, because this is still a really harsh world. The game can be challenging. Like, I can't believe kids play this game. Enemies will one-shot you, and there are dangers around every corner, so you're gonna need to really cobble up together some weird stuff when you're desperate. You're definitely consistently outmatched for a while, like Breath of the Wild, but this time you're this like freak weirdo that's like sticking trees together and strapping bombs to your shields. So there's that. Then there's also Recall, which is a more puzzle-oriented ability to make objects reverse their action and kind of go back in time. And then Ascend. Now, this is the one you may have seen Nintendo demonstrate, where Link can jump up to a ceiling and shoot through it and pop up on the roof. Basically, teleport through ceilings. I thought at first this was like no big deal, just another quick gameplay gimmick, simple teleport, you know? But I'm not gonna lie, it is really, really cool and satisfying to use. Like, I haven't gotten tired of it yet. You can use this and all of your abilities pretty much anywhere, and this is where things get kind of fun. Like, you can really try to break the game or get yourself somewhere where you shouldn't be, but it seems like the game is cool with all of it. Everything is designed to be messed with, and it's full freedom. And again, you're like a mile high in the sky sometimes, gliding around and then diving back down to Earth on a totally different map, and it's all seamless. I've never really experienced something quite like this in a game before, except maybe like flying around in Just Cause, but Just Cause as like a full Zelda RPG with tons of physics systems and all these other things going on that I mentioned. And performance-wise, I mean, I'm not gonna like beat around the bush with you guys. It's a massive open world Switch game. It's not 60 frames per second. There are only certain intense instances in combat and a few select areas I've seen where the frame rate does drop kind of hard, but most of my experience has been at least a stable 30 and playable. Honestly, it's pretty much what I expected if you have experience with the previous game or just Switch in general. Yeah, it's not great, but it is what it is. Again, the game isn't a technical mess, at least. And from an art standpoint, they embrace color even more this time around, and there are some incredible vistas and sunsets and stuff. Like I said, it starts off feeling like the same old Hyrule with just a couple of rocks here and there, but the deeper you go, the newer it seems to really feel. So again, this is just first impressions. It gets more and more interesting the further you go. It's very much more Breath of the Wild, but like, what if it slowly went to Crazy Town? You know, more Korok seeds, more shrines, more exploration, more breakable weapons, which are still annoying, even more so, more treasures and secrets. Only this time, you could build a weird flying car or a boat or whatever you want, and there's more story, a seemingly really good one at that. So sorry if I'm being blunt. You know, again, this is after like 15, 16, 17 hours. Don't want to jump the gun and call it like a masterpiece or anything, because I think it's going to depend on who you're asking. Either way, though, I'm having fun with it. It's challenging, it's ambitious, it's different, and it scores a lot of points in my book for that, even if I'm not like the biggest building crafting guy. I really liked Breath of the Wild, and now I really like Tears of the Kingdom. I think this game's gonna have some legs. I think you're gonna be seeing people doing weird stuff in this for a long time. There's a lot of hidden secrets in this massive world, so we're only scratching the surface here. So this is a before you buy. You know how this goes by now. I just give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion, and now I wanna hear yours down in the comments. If you jumped in immediately at midnight, you got any weird stories? Have you discovered anything cool? Let us know. Are you still on the fence about the game? Was all those glowing 10 out of 10 reviews not enough for you? Or maybe it made you skeptical? I don't know. Let's talk your experience with the game, whether you're considering it, what you think about Breath of the Wild, whether you even like this new style of Zelda or not, because that is a totally separate conversation. Still, this game here, let's talk. Clicking a like button helps us. We appreciate it very much. Thank you guys for sticking around all these years and watching these before you buy videos. Again, I'm Jake Baldino. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.